Welcome to Restoring Home, where we talk about marriage, parenting, and faith. And tonight our topic is preparing daughters for marriage. And we have our guests with us tonight. We're so glad you guys came. So it's Diego and Lindsay Benhumea. And you have, tell us a little bit about yourselves, your family, and such, so we can sort of know you a little bit.
Wonderful. Well, thanks. My name is Lindsay Benhumea, and I am a stay-at-home mom of two girls, ages 7 and 9, and I get to stay home and homeschool them. That keeps my days full.
I'm Diego Benemaia. I work for a restaurant chain, and I oversee 12 restaurants, so busy, but allows me to have her at home with the girls, so it's really good. Worth it.
Good. Well, and restaurant business is busy. Even the food industry is busy, so I'm assuming managing one restaurant is busy and you have a dozen. So somehow, though, you've managed to come up with a recipe for having time with your family and with your children. So that may be something we'll want to talk about at another time, how you do that for a busy dad. But we're glad you're doing it. And the thing I specifically want us to talk about tonight, Donna and I want to interview you, is dealing with regarding your daughters and preparing them for the man of their dreams someday, how they'll choose that person and prepare themselves for it.
This is the time to do it. They're young.
Yes.
And you and I were talking one time at a church afterwards after a meal together, and I shared some things with you. We had a brief conversation about daughters, and you took those to heart, put them into action, and so I saw you later, and I could tell that things were like they were going really well with you and your girls, and from that conversation, I realized I want to talk to you and get you to share with other people what you've been doing that's making you a really great situation at home with the kids. I can tell your daughters are full. So we have a few questions about that. First of all, tell us what happened after that conversation, what all you have been doing.
Yeah, so after we had that conversation, I realized that I was doing some stuff, but you gave me really good advice or different perspective of what else can I be doing. One of the big things I got our conversation was you were talking. Our girls were around, and that time we were talking, and you're like, they're precious and they're good girls. So one of the things is like start thinking about how big an example I am for them. So I'm the man of their life now, but I won't be the man of their life forever. I will be special in their hearts, but not forever. So how can I guide them through, see the behaviors I have to show them, okay, that's a good man, that's how a man should treat me, and things like that. So before we were going out on dates and making time, a special time for each one of them, but the other aspect that we were implementing was really praying together and praying for them and for their husbands. It's something I never thought about doing before. That and now I think about these young men right now. They're somewhere, and we pray for right now that someone will be around them, protecting them. They will be safe, and they will be able to grow in an environment that allow them to be righteous men. And that's kind of was one of the other things we implemented since our conversation. So, and obviously, you continue to push the you have to remind them they're beautiful, they're smart, they're valuable. So that I remember was the big topics in our conversation, and kind of, I saw like, a good job so far, but let's keep going and apply other things. So that's kind of what we've been doing so far.
So you're already doing like dates. I think we talked about you're already having little dates with them, and kind of that's a great thing to do for dads. But then you added on to that prayer, but prayer for them, but prayer with them, and also praying for their future husband.
Yes.
Not that we would have one, but actually praying for whoever he may be, or those men would be, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's out there
Great.
somewhere, and he's
Yes.
dealing with life. So you're praying for protection and guidance.
In the beginning of our conversation, I thought that's too early, but that's when they're right now being formed to have these behaviors and they're sponges right now. These boys are right now absorbing everything, so they will put the foundation for who they're gonna be as men.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had to start now, and
Yeah.
and knowing at some point that their future wives or their wives, then they've been praying for them all this time. I think it's gonna be precious to see.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The young men, whoever they are, 9 and 7, the girls, so maybe the fellows are 9 and 7 or 10 or somewhere there. And these guys are being impacted right now by the world and the pressures there. And so you're praying for them to handle those well now, instead of crossing your fingers and hoping that one day this perfect guy will show up that has been fine for all these years until he met my daughter. And wisdom says, be proactive and start praying for him, whoever he may be right now. So well done, good job. Have you seen what have you seen in the girls as Dad's been doing that?
Well, I would say, first off, it's not just him who gets to enjoy the girls going on dates, because I get to help them get ready.
All right, that's
And
great.
that is such a joy. You know, because I get to teach them the girl side of that, and because it's always right whenever he comes home from work. So sometimes they'll want to rush out whenever he's still in the car, and I'm like, no, you're going to wait here.
Oh, great.
You know, so it's things like that as a mom I get to, you know, do that fun side of it, and getting ready and see the anticipation, because I get to see how much they're anticipating their alone time with Diego, and that's priceless. And then something also, I remember you approached me one service, and you know, was like, are you praying? And you were like, you know, well, like if you see characteristics, and certain young men, like pray for those like specific characteristics. And that's something that since you spoke it to me, I was like, and details matter to me. So being able to pray really specifically. So like if I see a young man, you know, even if he's 10, you know, and he does something kind, I'm like, that is a trait that I want in a son-in-law, that one of my daughters, you know, needs in her life. So that's something that has been a joy to do for them.
And do you point that out for the girls to see, or?
I don't yet, because I don't want them to see me
Soon.
like pointing out a specific person.
Right.
I still want to leave that in you know, in their realm of that.
Right.
But yes, I mean, we do, even if we're like out and about, but it's usually like do you see like how that dad interacted, you know,
Right, yeah.
and those, or
We're
husband.
talking about character in people
Yes.
in general.
Yeah.
Yes.
And other thing that you have done, when I'm in the other room, and you're like, I do something that give a good example. I think you point that to the girls, like that's, you know, like I think you and I talk about it a little bit, but I noticed that she, like I said, we are the example, right? Like we are open their eyes to what a marriage should look like, and so she does a good job with that when I do something for her that she really appreciate, and she pointed out to them. So
Right.
Sweet.
Good job.
Yeah.
Making them feel
job.
things.
yeah,
Well, let me ask you, you've been watching Dad pray for the husband down the road, pray with the girls and talking to them and taking them on dates and such.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what's the feedback you get afterwards? Can
Well,
you
that's
share
the
any of that?
other fun part about being a mom, is whenever they come home, then it's, you know, then he's usually with the other daughter that didn't go on the date. And then me and the daughter that went on the date, or, you know, on the bed, or, you know, sitting down talking, and it's usually 1,000,000 words a minute. And that
So
just the
full.
pure elation on their face, they come back glowing. No matter what it is, if he takes them just, you know, I mean, sometimes it's not, obviously it's not what you do, but it's just the focused time that they have with him, the undivided attention.
Yeah.
And if he buys them anything, like I think the one got a dinosaur
and dance. A
from an
plastic
arcade
dollar,
game,
right.
and that is to this day her favorite dinosaur of all species, because of that date. But yes, whenever they come home, it is a sense of excitement and elation, but also of confidence.
Yeah.
They come back like they are just so proud, and they're proud of him, you know, because there is this pride, and you know, like, wow, Dad Daddy wants to do this with me, you know? So yeah, I would say that's
great.
that's another
And I
big
think
part.
that's a good point where you said it's not what you do. It's not like, hey, you had to go and take her out for dinner. Like, I sometimes ask, what do you want to do? Oh, I just want to go to the store. Let's walk to the store. Or let's go we walk to the park once. We went to the movie. It's just be
Time.
intentional time in the conversations we have. You know, I think that's what they appreciate more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do.
And I'm just thinking about there are people who'll be listening to us tonight who maybe dad is not there for whatever reason. Here's a mother with daughters, and he's not there. Or maybe there's a dad that has daughters, but mom is not around. Maybe for whatever reasons. And so, what are they going to do with this when they don't have the other person to help? And so, one solution, one easy access solution, is to find someone to stand in that role. For a dad, it could be a grandparent, a grandfather, or a trusted uncle, or a man of God who is trustworthy. It can be for the same for the stand-in for a grandmother can stand in, or someone who can stand in to help them through that and play that role for them, and that will be very important for them. So let me ask you, Diego, just for you right now, just your heritage, your years growing up as a kid, what were some things that were given to you as a youngster to help you prepare for dating, but mainly for choosing a mate down the road? Do you have any specifics that you recall being given to you?
I can think about two things, and I think that it goes back to example, like we learn from the good example and the bad example of seeing our parents going through marriage, my parents going through marriage. I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? But you learn what to do as well as you learn what not to do. So I think that was, I don't think my parents were intentional sometimes, but my mom was. And one of the things that my mom always tried to talk about is find someone that will help you form a strong family. And that's something that even when I married Lindsay, it's like, what is your dream? I say, I just want to have a family. And that has always been my big dream. So right now, I can
You're
go.
happy, man.
I'm happy, because I have a family. So I think that was one of the big advice. Like, it's just not, you don't just need companionship. You can find that through friends, family, but you want a good marriage, a good family. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that's good.
Donna, you, when we were talking earlier, before we began, you thought of something.
Well, I was just thinking how we tell our sons always to look for a woman who is very thankful, has a thankful heart, grateful. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, we can train our daughters to be grateful, but you also want to look for a man that would be thankful and appreciative and notice the work that you're doing. So being grateful is such an important trait, and it's uncommon, actually.
Right. You have a question you want to
Yeah, I have a
ask?
question. I have lots of questions, but I'm going to narrow it down. If you could give a parent advice about what is best policies for guiding their daughters through dating and toward a healthy choice of a mate, what would that advice or guidance be? And I'll give you an example. I did think of one thing that I remember someone told me, and I thought, I need to make sure and tell my daughter this, and it relates to something you said. You said when they come back, they're so full, but they're so confident.
Yeah.
The level of confidence, the most emotional health of your daughter, she's going to attract that same level of healthy. And so helping them to have that confidence is one of the best gifts you can give to them. But also just advice that I would give a parent is make sure that you're helping your daughter find out, know who she is, her identity in Christ, and have that confidence. But it's so important, the dad role.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be?
Well, I would say it's, for us, talking about preparing them for marriage, I just feel like it's more preparing them for life.
Yeah.
And it's not preparing them for just one specific part, but marriages, I mean, I'm going to spend more years with him than I did at home, you know, with my parents. So it's really preparing and setting the groundwork for the trajectory, hopefully, a healthy trajectory for their lives. But something that I heard once in a book by Dr. Kevin Lehman was the importance of leaving time available around bedtime, whether it's early in the morning or late at night. But there's something about, I don't know if it's the stillness, how we wake up still, or the stillness hopefully before going to bed, or sometimes the chaos before going to bed, that it leaves great opportunity for really meaningful, powerful conversations to have. So I have implemented, our girls are getting older, but they still start a really early bedtime routine. Sometimes that's for me, so that I can still have the energy to deal with whatever conversation may need to happen 10 minutes before bed.
And they're used to that, so they do bring some big questions.
They do. They do. They bring some very big questions. But luckily, I have already mentally prepared myself, so I can hopefully be ready.
You're ready.
Yes, be ready emotionally and be prepared and not
I
be
love that.
so exhausted.
That's great advice.
So leaving that time available.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it's when she's saying that is the vulnerable time. It's
Yeah.
like it's like, you know, it's their
Yeah.
quiet place with mama,
Yeah.
and they can ask about anything. Like I don't think it has been a question that has been easy for you. Sometimes I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm glad she went through that. First. I support everything, but I think that's why it makes it special. And the other thing that I advise is we are the example. So the behaviors we have, the things we do, is what they're absorbing everything. So if parents love each other and show that, they're gonna look for love. Oh, that's what a marriage should look like, or that's what my dad's treating my mom. So that's what I should be treated, right? So they learn from behaviors and copy behaviors and mimic. They wanna be like a mommy. They wanna be, you know. And so that I think that is one of the biggest example. Like we are the example. So show trust, love, respect.
Yes.
And that's why that what we're looking in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Donna mentioned building healthy esteem. When a girl has a healthy esteem, she'll attract someone on the same level. If her esteem is not intact, her identity is not intact, then she'll be a vulnerable going out there. And one way to build that healthy esteem is mom and dad's relationship is great.
Yeah.
The stronger the marriage, the more healthy the children, boys and girls. But little girls, if dad is respecting mom, then little girls will have a standard that they expect for themselves of respect and dignity in the way they're treated. And if it's not that way, then it can be a problem from down the road. Just really quick, I have down here that I'd like you to tell us stories that you may have about how your girls have responded or how this has affected your girls' hearts in any special way. Just any of the stories you want to share with us about your interactions with the girls.
Do you want to go with that one first, or do you want
Go
me
ahead.
to? Okay. So I would say, like, I try to do I told him this as we were preparing for this. I was like, did you know that I do this? So sometimes whenever he leaves for work, you know, I know what he's getting ready to go into with work because he shares that with me. But, you know, our girls just see him wake up and go every day and come back and he's, you know, dad, and he's great and everything's fine. But there are times where I will know, like, he's not going into a good situation at work. So we will close the door because we see him off most days. We'll close the door and I'll be like, girls, that's the kind of man you want. I was like, he doesn't always want to go to work, but did he complain about it? He didn't complain. He didn't, like Daddy knows that that is his role, and he does that so that I can stay here, and so that you girls can be safe in our home. That is what's we feel is really important to us. And so that is something, and the girls will be like, oh, like, you know, they don't, you know,
That's
they're not
teaching
like,
them
oh, yes,
attitude.
I need to, you know, but it's, you can see that it's,
Yeah.
it's being planted. You know, you can see in someone's eyes whenever they're really listening.
Yeah.
So that is something that for me, you know, I get to see that.
Right.
And then there are times too where, you know, he makes me laugh so hard. And I'm like, girls, it is really important to have a man who makes you laugh, who can be silly, who can, you know, those are important things. And then there are times whenever we'll be all together and he'll do something silly and the one will be like, that's what Mommy says to look for. That's what Mommy says. So, but those are like so we're setting the stage for more of those conversations. But those are ways that I can see it's affecting them in good ways.
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about, what you're doing there is what we would tell people to do, which is to identify character traits. And so earlier you talked about, you know, you said, I think you said if you see it in a little boy, a little 10-year-old, you say, that's what I'm looking for. But I think you're doing that in Diego, and you're saying, girls, see that? Girls, look for that. Girls, this is the way you want your husband to be, whether it makes you laugh or he's faithful, loyal, does the hard thing, doesn't complain. Great job. And that's what we ought to be doing for one another. We should point out as well character traits, and you know, those who have their sons, and say, son, look, see, this is a woman. She has a grateful attitude. She's a good servant-hearted person. She's whatever. These are the traits you ought to look for. So it's a very wise and well done that you're pointing these character traits out. So often people point out externals. You know, you want a pretty girl, or you want a strong man, or you want somebody who's smart or athletic, or those kind of things. And those are just so off base. But kids will listen, and they'll do that. And you don't always have to say it. It's if you are looking for it in other people, your kids will apply that to a mate. If you're always talking about how someone looks or doesn't look, or their physical features or what they have or don't have, or those kind of things, or if you're even drawing attention to yourself and measuring yourself based on those things, or demeaning yourself based on these things, your kids pick up on that, and they take that measuring stick forward. And it's a flawed measuring stick. So character is great. I'm glad you're pointing those out, and they're picking up on it. Good.
So.
Diego, did you want to add any stories here?
The other one I comes to mind, it's we always, when we had to discipline, one of the things they probably heard the most is like, Mommy and Daddy are a team. We're teaching them to marriage is a team, is teamwork. You know, the other day, I think about, she took one of the girls actually on a walk. So it was time for me and my other little girl, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna help Mama. I'm gonna, by the time she comes back, house gonna be clean. You're gonna help me, and we're doing this because we're a team. So teaching them that as well, that it's like, marriage is not about someone's gonna take care of me or I'm gonna have to take care of someone. It's like we're gonna take about each other and we're gonna build something together. And it is something that we have made a good impact, because we do it as an example, but there are times it's like, hey, when we had, like, say, the discipline part of things, it's like, we're one. So we're not gonna answer, if we're not gonna change our answer about this. So teaching them that as well, that I think now in the world, it's just companionship. We'll see what happens. You know, I'm gonna find someone to entertain me. You know, and that's not gonna be good. When they get bored, and they're not gonna entertain you anymore. You know, so it's just teamwork, working together, and that's another thing that I have seen. They have been impacted by it, and now they don't ask us as many times like now and say, "Oh, Mama said no," so I mean, Daddy says no too. You know, they know the same thing.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids will play one parent over the other one, and they'll try. But I really appreciate what you said there, because I mean, I counsel couples all the time that be one, be united, and if you disagree, Talk about it later when the kid's not around. But in front of them, you're one. And so if daddy says no, then I guess it's no. If mom says no, then well, I guess it's no. And then we are a united front, because that builds in them security. They know a united front means a strong protective wall around them and no loopholes. So they're not going to be able to break through. That means nobody can break in. And it creates a real security down deep. And they will flourish in a place where they are secure, where they know they're safe and secure. They will flourish. If they don't know they're safe and secure, they'll be victims. They're just open prey. And for the first guy who comes along and promises them safety and security, love and affection, attention, they just fall. And so you're building a strong wall when you're building your relationship in a united front. Good. I'm going to put in the link to this video, the book that you've mentioned by Dr. Kevin Lehman.
Yes, and he co-wrote it with a woman, but I can't remember her name.
Okay. Well, we'll look it up, and I'll be sure it's in the link below so people can get that book and look at it. The one where I'm referring to the book where one of the chapters or one of the parts of it was talking about the importance of talking to children around bedtimes.
Yes.
And it's kind of an open thing, but there's more in that, you said.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, it
So
was a really good.
it's a great resource, sounds like.
Yes,
So we'll have that.
it was.
All right. Thank you guys for being here.
Oh,
Thank you.
well,
Well
thank you.
done. Great.
Thanks.
And we have grandsons who are coming up. So we might want to, I'll give you a name. I'll give you a name to pray for. How about that?
That's great.
Okay. Bless you. So we are so grateful for this interview and for this time together. And we want to invite you to be sure to check the link for the book that was mentioned, and also see us again next time on A Restoring Home, where we talk about marriage, parenting, and faith.